Hi everyone, and welcome. With the release of Shadowlands on October 27th, and the pre-patch coming around the end of September, I thought I would look at the top 5 things that I'm looking forward to in Shadowlands. So first up is the new character customization. A lot of the races have been given some really great new and interesting customizations. So for example, humans, night elves, undead, trolls, orcs, dwarves are some of the real winners out of this. My personal favourite being night elves, dwarves, undead and orc. I love the separation of hair into beards, moustaches and sideburns. That really gives some creative new options that you can do. The addition of warping and scars are great. There's just so many awesome new options that it's going to be really rare to see two characters that are the same now. Unfortunately, some of the races have kind of been left behind. So goblins and Pandarans haven't really got too many new options. I really hope that Blizzard will continue to add more customization, specifically for some of these races, and even for all of the races, really. And it would also be really nice to see more customization for the allied races, as some of them like Nightborn, Zandalari and Mechanomes are really lacking in the customization part. Void Elves deserve a special mention. After many years of asking, Blizzard have gone part of the way to give the Alliance High Elves. Now don't get me wrong, they aren't fully High Elves, as Blizzard have chosen not to give kind of normal hair colours, so you are kind of stuck with the Void Elfy hair colours. You can have lighter skin colours now, and you can even have the blue eyes, but there is still that undertone that they're not High Elves, they're Void Elves. I feel like if Blizzard have kind of gone this far already, then they should just give the Void Elves normal coloured hair and let the Alliance have High Elves, essentially. I see no reason why they shouldn't at this point. Another way I think that they can improve customization would be to have the option to choose the side that scars appear on, or even change the beards and hair colour independently. I think just these small additional tweaks would really take the character customization to the next level. But overall, it is a fantastic addition, and I'm really glad they've revisited this, as you know, the previous kind of customization was getting rather stale, and this just really helps to mix it up and freshen it up. Next up is Torghast. Now, I think this is a really fantastic addition to the game, and with the right anima powers, you can get some really crazy builds. So to unlock Torghast, once you've hit max level and you've picked your Covenant, you'll get a quest from your Covenant Sanctum. So previously, to unlock Torghast, you had to complete 6 runs of Torghast and complete a very long quest gem. In the recent build, Blizzard have actually changed this, so instead of having to do 6 introductory runs, you actually only have to do 1. So this has significantly reduced the unlock time for Torghast from around 4 to 5 hours to only a couple of hours. This has really helped to speed up the process, and it feels a lot less cumbersome to actually unlock it, get in there and start unlocking everything. You do only have to do this question once per account as well. So once you've done it on your main, any alts that get to 60, you can jump straight into the maw, go straight into Torghast and start earning your legendary items. With the wide variety of anima powers available, it's a really great feeling going into Torghast, getting a new power that you've never seen before, and building your entire run around it, whether that kind of be an AoE build, killing more rats in an efficient way, or just straight up damage. I'm really glad that they've removed the entry cost for this, as I feel this is going to be a feature personally that I'm going to be running time and time again, even outside of the weekly need to get Soul Ash. Another part to Torghast is Legendaries, so when you complete the introduction quest, you will also free the Rune Carver, who will give you the ability to craft legendary items. And that brings us nicely into the next segment, which is Legendaries. So once you've unlocked the Rune Carver, you can begin crafting your first legendary. You'll need 4 things to do this. which is a crafted base item, 2 stat scrolls, some soul ash, and a memory of the rune carver, which is essentially the recipe for your legendary. So how do we get these 4 items? Each of the crafting professions, so tailoring, blacksmithing, leatherworking and jewel crafting, can make the base items for you. They are BOE, so you're not forced to take one of these professions, which is a really nice touch. Stat scrolls can be made by inscriptors, and they are standard secondary stats, so haste, mastery, crit and verse. Each of the legendaries you'll craft will require 2 scrolls, and they are single use, so you will be reliant on getting these for each of the legendaries you want to craft. So the third item you need is Soul Ash. Soul Ash is a reward from completing runs of Torghast. So essentially it's split into layers, and the higher the layer you do, the more Soul Ash you're rewarded with. There is a limit to the amount of Soul Ash you can get each week, and based on Blizzard's previous interviews, they're saying you should be able to craft a legendary every 2 to 3 weeks. So this is kind of where the time gating comes in. The final thing you need is a recipe. So the memories can be obtained from various places. So Blizzard have added a great little thing into the adventure journal called Powers. So if you visit this tab, you can see all of the powers that are available for your class. You can see what piece of gear they go on, and you can see exactly where you can get this recipe from. I think this is a great addition, so as it means that you can target the exact power you want, and it really removes a lot of the RNG that plagued the Legion legendary system. I think a lot of the powers that these legendaries have are really fun. There'll obviously undoubtedly be a best for each spec in each of the PvP, M+ and raid scenarios. But there are even some legendary powers which are in specifically at Torghast runs, and some that are utility based. So it's going to be really fun kind of collecting them all. Next thing is M+ affixes. So in Shadowlands, Blizzard are adding a few new ones and retiring some of the older ones. So Blizzard are adding 3 new affixes, which are Inspiring, Spiteful and Storming. So Inspiring, this works similar to Beguiling from BFA Season 3. So mobs will be randomly given an Inspiring Presence buff, which means any allies within 15 yards are immune to CC. So Spiteful is similar to the thing from Beyond Corruption. Whenever a mob dies, a Spiteful Shade will be summoned and will fixate a random player. Spiteful Shade will lose 8% of its health each second it's alive. It can be stunned and CC'd, and when it reaches the player it won't explode, but it will do hard melee hits, which are usually around 2 to 3 times what a normal mob would hit in the dungeon. This will scale with the level of M+ you're on as well. The third one is Storming. This is similar to Volcanic. So tornadoes will spawn around enemy mobs whilst they're in combat. They'll swirl in a spiral for around 10 seconds, and getting hit by one of these will cause some damage and will knock you back. There can be multiple tornadoes at once, and this really does feel like a melee affix. Like, it feels Blizzard are trying to kind of balance the meta somewhat. So they're adding an affix just for melee players. With Blizzard adding 3 new affixes, they've also retired some. So Teaming and Skittish are gone, at least for the first season, but you never know, they might bring them back in the future. Seasonal affix is Prideful. So every 20% of enemies killed, you will spawn a Manifestation of Pride. So defeating this will give the party a buff, and this is a really cool affix. It lets players kind of plan their run when they want to kill the mobs to spawn the Prideful, so they have the buff for hard packs or bosses, or it seems really cool and should have a lot of fun interactions with it. So also, as we're hitting a new season, we also get a new M+ mount. So for completing each of the dungeons and a plus 15 within the time limit, we get the Sin Touch Deathwalker, which is actually a really cool looking mount in comparison to BFA Season 4. I personally can't wait to try and push and get this mount. And finally, the revamped weekly reward. So in Shadowlands, Blizzard are replacing the current PvE and PvP chests with the Great Vault. How this works is, depending on the amount of content you do each week, you will get to pick the piece of gear that you would like to receive from a pool of rewards. So the more content you do, the more choices you have. So you can get up to a maximum of 9 choices per week, depending on the amount of content that you do. So having it work in this way removes a large part of the current RNG in the system, and it means more often than not, you're probably going to get a piece of gear that's useful to you. Case scenario, if you don't have a piece of gear that you want to take, you can get currency instead. So there's always that as a fallback option. So the choices are unlocked at 3 raid bosses, 7 raid bosses and 10 raid bosses, 1, 4 and 10 M+, 125, 350 and 875 conquest points. Now undoubtedly that is potentially a large task to complete each week, but even doing half of that would give you a huge pool of items to choose from. So the level of the content you do will actually denote the eye level of the gear choices that you get. So killing heroic level raid bosses would give you eye level equivalent for those 3 options in the Great Vault. And that are the 5 things that I'm looking forward to coming in Shadowlands. I hope you enjoyed the video and the very brief overview of the systems. Let me know in the comments below what you're looking forward to, and if you've enjoyed this video, please subscribe. I'll see you next time.